Have you ever felt like your body's made of lead, even though you have done nothing all day? You wake up with a list of things to do, but the very thought of starting makes you feel exhausted. You tell yourself that you will start in 10 minutes, then an hour, then tomorrow. We often think that laziness is a lack of energy, but the truth is much deeper. Imagine carrying a small stone in your pocket. At first, you do not notice it. But if you carry that stone for a week, it starts to feel like a heavy weight. This is the secret of the mind that few people understand. In a quiet valley where the morning mist hung low over a monastery garden, lived a young man named Vedant. Vedant was a person of great potential, but he lived in a constant state of waiting. He waited for the perfect mood, the perfect weather, and the perfect time to begin his work. His garden was overgrown with weeds, and his house was filled with half-finished projects. To Vedant, even the simplest act of sweeping the floor felt like moving a mountain. He was not a weak man, but he was always tired. He felt as if he were walking through deep water every single day. This weight of procrastination was a heavy pressure on his spirit. Psychologically, every task he ignored stayed in the back of his mind like a ghost. When we delay our work, our brain stays in a state of quiet stress because the cycle of the task is never closed. Vedant did not realize that his tiredness was coming from the mental clutter of things he had not done. He was a prisoner of his own tomorrow, and the psychological weight of his undone chores was draining his life force. He wanted to change, but the mountain of work ahead of him felt too steep to climb. One afternoon, Vedant sat with an elder monk in the middle of the garden where birds chirped softly among the flowers. The monk reached into the air and caught a single, tiny white feather that was floating by. He handed it to Vedant and asked him to hold it out at arm's length. "I want you to keep your arm perfectly straight and do not let this feather drop for 1 hour," the monk said with a gentle smile. Vedant thought this was a strange and easy request. He held the feather out, feeling how light and soft it was. But as the minutes ticked by, something strange happened. His shoulder began to ache. His arm started to tremble. After 30 minutes, that tiny light feather felt as heavy as a piece of iron. By the end of the hour, Vedant was sweating and his entire body was shaking from the effort of holding something that weighed almost nothing. The monk took the feather back and spoke words that changed Vedant forever. He explained that the feather has no weight of its own, but the longer you hold on to it without letting it go, the heavier it becomes. This is exactly how your tasks work in your mind. A small chore is like a feather. If you do it immediately, it is light and easy. But if you carry the thought of it for days and weeks, it becomes a burden that steals your strength. Laziness is not about the work being hard. It is simply the weight of things left undone. In nature, the river does not wait to flow, and the sun does not wait to rise. They move, and in that movement, they find their power. Vedant realized that he had been carrying 100 feathers for years. He understood that the only way to feel light again was to finish the task the moment it appeared. In our modern world of 2026, we are surrounded by digital feathers like unread emails, unfinished messages, and small goals we keep pushing away. The secret to a high-energy life is a simple rule used by the most successful people, which is to eat the frog. This means you must do your hardest and most uncomfortable task at 8 o'clock in the morning before you do anything else. When you finish the heaviest thing first, the rest of your day feels effortless and light. Action is the only true cure for that feeling of heaviness that holds you back. When you go back to your life today, do not let your to-do list become a ghost that haunts your peace. The weight you feel is not the work itself, but the act of carrying it in your mind. If you want to feel free and full of energy, put down the feathers. Start now. Start with the thing you fear the most, and watch how the mountains in your mind turn back into dust. Your life is waiting for you to move, and once you start, you will find that the path is much easier than you ever imagined. Action is the cure for heaviness.